Hello, once again, and welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Trek to Star Wars, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious, we review the theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. We'll get to those theatrical films sometime this year. 2020, All right, tonight we are reviewing... Yes, I'm crazy. The Sleepover, which debuted on Netflix this past weekend. It's slim pickings, and that's what we got. Things will change here shortly, but let's go with the Sleepover, shall we? Let me introduce the rest of the crew. Joining us tonight is the one and only Christopher G. Moore. He is the award-winning filmmaker.
I am that, and I'm glad that we could talk about this Disney Channel film. Netflix film.
Did we watch the wrong channel? It feels that way, man.
No, I think we did. Although it is, it's from the director of Pitch Perfect 3 and what was the other one? The dance movie.
The dance movie.
Step Up All In.
Oh, well, shit. I watched both those. All right. Well, this is not going to be good. All right. Also joining us is Christopher Slattery, the Slattman. How you doing, sir?
I got nothing. You got movie. I got nothing.
Oh, man.
He just woke up from the sleepover.
Oh, my. You slept through the sleepover? Come on. All right. Yes, we are doing a sleepover. What is the sleepover? Well, it is a Netflix film. It debuted August 21st from director Trish. Is it Sie?
I guess so.
Okay. Written by Sarah Rothschild, and the cast includes Mela Ackerman, who I like, Joe Manganiello. I'll go with that. I like him. I never can pronounce his name, but I do like him. Ken Marino, Sadie Stanley, Maxwell Simpkins, Cree Chiquino. We'll go with that. Lucas J. I suck at names. Why am I doing this? All right. When two siblings discover their seemingly normal mom is a former thief in a witness program protection who has been forced to pull one last job, they team up to rescue her over the course of an action-packed night. Yes, it's kind of like, well, there's been movies like this. There's an 80s movie, Christopher, that this movie probably reminded you of. Is it... something about the babysitter killing the babysitter?
Don't tell the babysitter don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. Is it?
Yes.
That's the one you're thinking of.
Yes, I think it is. It felt that way, right? It felt kind of like that film.
It feels like it does feel like those 80s or 90s kids films that kind of got their start with things like Home Alone and stuff. Almost like a what's his name who did the guy who wrote Home Alone, John Hughes. It feels like a second grade John Hughes. It's probably a good way to put it. Or a Disney Channel film.
All right. So what we do here is we review the film. We give our first thoughts. We talk about it a little bit, and then we give our final thoughts, our score, and our favorite scene at the end. So you want to stick around for that. This is going to be a train wreck, and it's going to be beautiful. Stick around and enjoy our show. Oh, let's get into it. Chris, I can't wait for you, but we're going to start off with the Slattman. Slattman, what was your first impression of the Sleepover?
It leaves a lot to be desired.
Oh, crap.
I don't think it's the worst film that Netflix has put out this year. Probably not the worst film that's been put out at all, but it doesn't mean it's good. But I will say that there's some moments in it that did make me laugh. There are some moments that I felt like worked, and some jokes that I felt like were built up well, and there were a couple characters that I did genuinely like from beginning to end. But the problem is that the amount of times I rolled or groaned or just kind of sighed really outnumbered the times that I chuckled or smiled or anything like that. Yeah, it was kind of hard to get through at times. but it still isn't the worst movie I've seen this year.
I like that backhanded compliment. That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. All right, Christopher G. Moore, jump in here and give us your first impression.
Well, my first impression of Spy Goonies is
golf clap for you, sir.
If anything, that man, the little kid, he's almost like if Mikey and Chunk had mated in Goonies. You would get that little kid who is the most annoying thing in the world. I wanted to punt kick him into the river. The character, not in reality. Because I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Not the actor.
But I think the one thing I took away from this film is it's not meant for me. It feels like a film you might see on like Disney Channel or those sort of straight to video cheesy comedy things. That definitely seems to, it has those kind of elements of other films, like you mentioned, 80s and 90s. It has that Goonies feel a little bit of it, or John Hughes, but not in the best way. I mean, it's definitely silly and goofy. It has this, I mean, it's to the point of being like overly goofy. But it still had its moments that made me laugh. There's a lot of jokes involving, what's it, Joe? I can't even pronounce his name.
You do it.
Joe Manganiello. Nella?
Leo,
who played Leo. That's a better way. So his character Leo, I did find the little jokes involving him and the dad that kept making reference to the fact that he was always like, sleeveless or shirtless or always showing skin and stuff. And there's several jokes throughout the movie that I actually laughed out loud about. There's one towards the end I thought was hilarious. But again, it's like they have all these story beats, all these specific things involving their characters that are just there because you kind of figure, oh, they're going to play until later. Like, him exercising his fingers or but then you have other things that they don't really use for anything, like the laser pen. But
I don't know. I laughed at the finger joke later.
Yeah, I mean, it ties in there, but
that's one of the ones that I chuckled at too.
But again, it's like when it's so adamant about like, why are you doing that at the very beginning of the film? You figure it's going to probably show up later for some kind of reason, but it's so forceful out there. It's a little too obvious, and I think you find that in a lot of kids type films, family fare, where they have to make the kids understand, oh, this or that. Although it's definitely more family oriented because there's a prostate reference. There
is.
Yeah. But I mean, it's very slapsticky. It's very goofy. I mean, you have the dad character who's like definitely the big goofball, who's doing all kinds of stupid stuff that to where I was like covering my eyes and annoyed by him so much. There's even a vomit scene and, but yeah, it's kind of like the Spy Kids, Goonies type stuff where it's definitely made for a younger set that'll really enjoy it a whole lot more. They try to do this sort of like fun editing thing throughout where they do these jump cuts to different things to add humor, which to me, it just get to it. I just as a director, I was like, and an editor, I was like, okay, we get what you're doing. Okay. You're trying to be all slick and stuff. But again, when you're peddling stuff to kids, that's what you do. And sometimes, that's why Robert Rodriguez's Spy Kids are not the best made films ever, but a lot of kids enjoy them. And I think this is the same thing. I think a lot of younger set or a lot of kids may love it. But it's not my cup of tea. It's and I like a good comedy, but this just made me roll my eyes so much. I think I have eye strain.
Eye strain. All right, this is where I embarrass myself. I kind of thought this was stupid fun. Maybe a little heavy on the stupid, but I had a good time with it. There are things in here that absolutely are groan worthy. I mean, the whole thing about the pee-pee pants, just that didn't work. The boy was a little obnoxious at first, but at the same time, I thought both those characters, the two boys, had their moments, and when their moments happened, they were really big moments. This wasn't the movie I wanted when I watched it. I was drawn in by the adult actors. I should have known better. It should have been blatant what it was going to be, but so it was a little like, oh, it's that movie. Okay. And then I found myself kind of drawn into it and enjoying it. There are moments like there's a time when the little brother, helps his older sister, kind of overcome her fear and actually play the cello in front of people. And that's a highlight. That's a big moment for this movie. And that's when the characters work. And that's what they were, that's one of those moments that this film is building for. And I like the interaction between the three adults, the husband and wife and Leo. And, because it's so awkward, and he's like totally not anything associated with everything, but yet he's stuck in the middle of it. So he's a big fish out of water, and they played heavy into that. And there are times when that worked, and there are times like it doesn't work, like when he does the French accent and knocks the vase over. That's kind of like, okay, Clouseau, seen this, done, go away. But there's other moments where, like Christopher mentioned, that it does pay off. It is silly, and I didn't realize it, but yeah, it is like it's more of a Disney Channel movie. Maybe it does feel that way, but I don't know what happened. I had a stupid good time with it.
Well, you and me, Doc, we grew up with a lot of those early Disney films, like the Shaggy Dog and
Computer Wore Tennis Shoes.
And I love those stuff growing up. And you go back and look at them now, I still love them to some degree, but they're very silly and over the top, and sometimes a little bit even more goofy than normal. And sometimes logic is thrown out the window. Like, you think with them interviewing the kids and stuff after the crime that they would have told the kid's parent that he could have been killed, and then I was like, the whole time I was like, yeah, he left his stuff in the house. They didn't even go to get his stuff. So they're going to have to go back to his house to get his stuff. But then other things are just like, there's like so much explanation on stuff like throughout the whole movie. And it's not like subtle. It's like, oh, this is blah, blah, blah. And this is blah, blah, blah. And then at the very end, it was like a Hallmark movie. It's like, I love you, brother. I love you, sister. I love you, mom. Oh, by the way, I play cello like you, and you can do this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh God, I feel like I got cavities just watching the ending.
Saccharine for you.
I was like, this is a Crest commercial. They should have had to sold toothpaste at the end. But yeah, but again, I'm at an age now to where I like goofy stuff sometimes. But this felt like it was more, it was more for the teenage or preteen set, and it's not, definitely not my cup of Mountain Dew. So
definitely not your cup of Mountain Dew. Oh, Slattman, jump in here with some highlights. Where did it work for you? Is there any characters, any scenes?
It's more specific moments, like the one that comes to mind, and some of the stuff that's kind of like out of left field and has no real build up. Kind of got a chuckle out of it, like towards the end when the one lady that was associated with the mom was just like to the other girl, Mim, I think was her name. Yeah, was just like, hand over the Rolex. It's just like, you didn't really see that coming. And it's just like, I don't know. I thought that the chemistry that the two girls had was good, and they were able to play off of each other pretty well. And I really, really liked the little the little brother's friend, Lewis. I thought he was hilarious the entire way through in just such a stupid way. It was just like, and by the end of the movie, they were just like, I'm not allowed to do that. And everyone's just like, we know.
Hey, he's the only one that really gets an arc, right?
Yeah. But the real highlight for me was when he had that moment and he was just like, no, I can do this. My mom's not around. And he goes up to try and like climb up to fit into the window and he can't get up. And he sit there and he's just like, guys, can you push me?
I did.
I thought that moment was that moment worked for me.
Yeah, I liked the moment when they I thought their characters really gelled, all four of the leads, of the younger leads, when they had to swim across the channel and over to Boston, and they got up there and realized where they were and everything, and you could see that they were becoming a group of friends as opposed to the sister and her friend and the brother and his friend, right? So and I enjoyed that. I like that they became a team. They were superheroes in a way. Got to dress up in old-timey clothes.
Would you say they were spy kids?
They did kind of feel Spy Kids, didn't it, Christopher G. Moore? And you love Spy Kids, don't you?
I don't mind it, but it is, that again, it wasn't made for me.
Yeah, well, there's a lot similar here. I mean, there's a
lot similar, except less green screen, because Spy Kids is very it doesn't age very well now because of the use of green screen, but
the use of
yes.
Oh, yes. Well, I thought our adult leads, I thought were really good. I thought chemistry between the three of them, Malin, Ken, and Joe, we'll just go for that. I thought the tension, between the husband and the old boyfriend, right? I think the only thing I didn't really like about them was, the obvious twist that was coming. It was kind of like a little groan-worthy and trite, but at the same time, perfect for this particular film. I think it fits this film, but maybe not my taste in films, as Christopher says. It's about
to me it was kind of obvious because he never really showed the person that actually, got them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think anytime you keep that hidden, it's pretty obvious it's probably going to be that guy. So it's part of the it's part of the sort of type of story that they're sort of telling. Now, I did like their fight scene.
Yes,
when
there's almost like a dance between the two,
and it had the cello going on in the background.
Yeah, the music.
That was definitely a highlight.
Yeah, so maybe that came from the director who directed one of the Step Up movies. That was her sort of hey, we got to put a dance routine in this.
Yeah, it worked. The car chase was fun too. It was silly.
Yeah, although it didn't make sense at first when they're hitting that little stupid shit, hit the button and made him go fast. But then I was like, at first I thought, is the car just taking them where they want to go, or is she actually directing it? If she's so scared to drive.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah.
I didn't know
the car.
Yeah, so I didn't know what how did it know where? I don't know. I'm just overthinking it. I shouldn't overthink it because there's not supposed to be logic in this film.
I did like the reactions though. That was one of the times I was laughing out loud was, because the car was speeding away. They had no control and they were all screaming like little fools.
Yeah. I mean, I
what
did
did it say about me? I don't know.
I did like the exchange student friend. Was that what she was? Exchange student? What was her friend that lived in their house? Was that exchange? Was she supposed to be an exchange student?
I don't know.
I didn't really understand that.
I thought she was just a family friend. Like
it's kind of like a babysitter,
the lead's friend.
But wasn't she living in the home?
No, because she was. Are you talking about Mim?
Yeah, Mim.
She was told at the very beginning of the movie to go home because the lead Clancy was grounded. So I think she was just Clancy's friend that just lives in the neighborhood.
See, I was kind of confused because at first I thought she was some exchange student living I was so confused because I was like, I expected her to have an accent. I was like, no, she doesn't have an accent. So I didn't really understand. I guess I just didn't pay attention. I kind of slept during that part. But no, I liked her character because some of her cracks at people made me laugh. You know, because the like, what was it like when they open up that picture and
Painting it, yeah.
going there, oh, now the kids are going in. She kept commenting, and it made me I think those pieces of dialogue really made me laugh because the things that she was saying that was commenting, either the cracking on people or saying obvious things that I think as an audience member you'd probably say. And so I kind of like that. I liked her character just because of her dialogue in the film.
Yeah, and her delivery, she did a good job. All right, well, let's do this. Let's give our final thoughts, our score, and our favorite scene. Scores 1 to 5. But before we do, if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe below. Hit the like button or the dislike. I don't care either way. Hit the bell if you want to get notified, and you know you do. And give us some comments. We'd love to hear what you think. What did you think of this film? Are we taking it too seriously? Is it? Maybe. No, I don't think so. All right, let's find out what we. Our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. Christopher Slattery, the Slattman. I'm stumbling over your name too. How do you like that? I shouldn't be doing that, but what is your? Let us have it, sir. Go fast. Go for it. Do it.
This film. It's hard to give final thoughts because there's not a lot to say. Unfortunately, it's not that great, but I think Christopher G. Moore brings up a good point by saying that we're not the target audience for this. So if I was like an elementary school age boy again, like I probably would have loved this movie because I remember loving Spy Kids when that came out, and I was about elementary, like yeah, that sounds about right. Elementary schoolish when that came out, and a lot of the jokes kind of would have landed better for me if I was that age. And there's a lot of grown worthy moments, especially because of they kind of overemphasize things that just, I guess, just aren't that funny really, but would make a kid laugh, like a vomit scene and like silly accents and just, I don't know. It's a little frustrating to watch, but at the same time, there are some moments that kind of make it worth watching if you've got nothing else better to do. I don't know. Like I'm finding it very difficult to actually come up with a cohesive like final thoughts for this movie because it's so frustrating, but yet there are parts of it that I did kind of enjoy.
Yeah, I think you're doing an excellent job. Actually, yeah. I'm getting exactly how you feel.
So my score, I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay.
I didn't really like it all that much, but I don't think it's as bad as some of the other movies that Netflix has put out. And for its target audience, I feel like it's actually fine, which is why I give it a 2. Instead of like a 1 or a 1.5, because I do see a world where I would have enjoyed it. I think that's the best way I can put it. My favorite scene is probably the this is really hard to pick out. It's probably the scene I've already talked about with the little kid Lewis, where he finally gets the courage to go up and do something that his mom wouldn't approve of, and like goes up and like and it's just like, I'm gonna get up there, I'm gonna jump up, I'm gonna fit through the window, and then he can't get up, and he's just sitting there like lifting his leg trying to get up, and he has to sit there and ask for help. I thought that was really well done and just silly enough to make me laugh a lot.
That was silly slapstick. All right, Christopher G. Moore, you're up next. What is your final thoughts, your score, favorite scene for the sleepover?
Well, with Adventures in Sleepovers,
that's right. It's Adventures.
It's like Adventures of Babysitting as well. It has a lot of those elements that, you know, have worked well in the past for certain films. You know, a lot of those sort of, you know, silly kids on the lam type thing where the kids get into these certain situations to get out of, or to save other people or save themselves. So yeah, again, I'll reiterate, this film was not made for me. It's sort of like, or at least where I am now. Not to say I don't enjoy some kids movies, or movies that are made for that specific audience, but this one specifically, it felt more Disney Channel than anything else. Sort of like, you know, the way I see it is almost like when I was a kid, I used to like the show Get Smart, and they made this Get Smart movie that I loved as a kid. And when I worked for Blockbuster Video, I ordered this extremely expensive VHS tape of it that cost me a bunch. And I watched it and I was like, this is horrible. Why did I like this as a kid? You know, you don't find that, you know, that's not always the case, you know. I mean, I like Escape from Witch Mountain and a lot of these films growing up. And I think this sort of, you know, it falls into that category of films that are made for a certain audience that's going to have a lot of goofy, silly stuff. It's going to have characters that the people who made it really want these kids to relate to. And this one, you have like the kid who gets bullied, and, you know, how people do put stuff on social media. And you have the one character that the parents don't trust him because they don't, you know, they're scared that they want him to be safe, so they don't give him a phone. So you have you have some parents that are a little bit more overprotective because they're fragile and they pee their pants. So you got to make sure they're okay, and they have allergies for everything, and they don't want them to get in trouble. So you have all these elements that kind of work for these type of films. But then when you look at it from just like a regular film perspective, it's definitely full of characters that are characters to some degree. Now, at the same time, this isn't one of those films where like I run away screaming from because I can't really watch. Because it does have some entertaining parts. It had some parts that made me laugh. It had some parts that I really enjoyed, like the fight sequence. And it had some characters that I kind of liked. It had other characters I just wanted to like just hit with a 2x4, but just for to be quiet. Because they just became more of this character who's written to be annoying, but didn't feel like a real character. Just felt like a pimple of a character. He just wanted to pop. I don't know why I made that analogy. But anyway, you know what? I will give this 2 ratings. 1 rating will be my rating, and that'll be 1.5.
No,
there's parts that I kind of enjoy, but it was really a slog to watch because it did feel like it was not a film that I was really meant to enjoy, at least me personally. Now, for audiences, I think this would probably be maybe a 3.
Oh, nice.
I think a young audience who comes into this just want to be entertained and to laugh at this kid dancing or laugh at an adult throwing up or being silly. I think they'll probably enjoy that more so than I will. Not to say that I'm mature in any aspect of that word, but I'm just, you know, my maturity is a little bit different. But as for favorite scene, I'll definitely say that I love the fight scene. Other than the jokes about him being shirtless or sleeveless, I thought the fight scene was well choreographed. I really enjoyed how they made it into like a dance, to where the dad was even like, "Come on!" Because they're basically doing it, like a couples dance type thing, and where they're using a flag and they're using different implements in the room. That felt very, very, very Mr. and Mrs. Smith, very Jackie Chan-y to some degree. And I thought that was probably the scene that stood out to me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So talking about your two ratings, by the way, I'm just quickly perusing like on IMDb, and what you were talking about is probably the most accurate, because you've got a bunch of higher reviews that are saying this is great for my family, the kids loved it, things like that, and then a bunch that are just saying this is not great, this is not good, and this is not worth my time. So I think your review is spot on.
I think with these type of films, I think you have to. I mean, you have those other films like what was it? My Spy? Was that the name of that one we watched?
Oh yeah.
That one I think hits the family realm altogether. It hits on both sides, and I like those type of films that can have that element where the kids really laugh and enjoy. I mean, I get the adult stuff, and the adult stuff hits right for the adults, and I think I love that combination. But this one just feels like it's so kiddie level that it would fit right in with, Disney Channel or any kind of family channel stuff. But it doesn't work for me. It's a little, but yeah, I mean, I think that's why I had to give it 2 ratings. I don't think it's very fair of me. I don't want to say this because then it makes Doc seem like I'm putting him down, but but it'd be personally, it just didn't work well for me. And I think if I was a young kid again, I probably would enjoy it more.
Or if you were me, I had a good time with this. Like I said, it's good fun. It is what it is, and I kind of got into it. Even though I was expecting something a little less, kind of kiddie level, I was, because I was kind of sold on the adult actors, but we spent far more time with the kids than I was expecting. But at the same time, the first 30 minutes, I was right with you, Christopher. I was so annoyed with certain characters, but by the time they make it across the channel or whatever over to Boston, I think I was on board with them and for the rest of the movie. I thought the comedy was okay. So you keep talking about the throw up scene. I hate throw up scenes. Why do people have to throw up in film? I hate it. This one was actually kind of funny. It just kept going and going all over to this princess, and it was just like, oh my God. So I could say, so yeah, I must be a kid. I kind of like this. I'm going to give it a 2.75. And that's it across the board. 2.75. That's just me, and that's me as a kid. My favorite scene is I really love the cello scene when they come in there and they they're all dressed up because they stole these suits they're looking like what Boston Tea Party, and they fake their way in as being the entertainment, which that the kid shined at that moment, given that spiel, and they built that character to do that. So that was fine. And then of course our lead is, that's her story. That's her arc, is she can't, this is what scares her. And with his help, they get over it. And I just love that. I love that tied that relationship together. It built a great moment. It had a great character arc, character moment to it as well. And it was damn entertaining. And, it even had the guy that was getting ready to call the security guys. He goes, nope, they're legit. They totally fooled them, and everybody was loving it. So that was kind of me. I was going, yeah, man, they're great. They fooled me.
Although did that picture of the young mom and the Leo character with their really bad wigs, did that fool you too? Did you believe that was them when they were younger?
Not at all, but that's okay. That's okay.
It would have worked if you were in elementary school.
Yeah,
it was convincing enough.
It didn't matter. I mean, gosh, how many times have we seen like really horrible Photoshops? But anyway, that's our review for The Sleepover, playing now on Netflix. Yeah, have fun. For those who are watching, thank you. For those who are listening, thank you. I'd love to hear your reviews. Appreciate it. Chris DeFrigimore, thank you for joining me. Slatman, always thank you for joining. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. It brought me back to being a young person again.
Yay! All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.